Sheesh. Oh my goodness. Cursor just dropped 2.0 with a lot. This is probably one of the biggest changes. I know I'm so hyping it up right now, but it's been really crazy. And I want to tell you really quickly before I get started is that I did have early access to this. And the stuff that I'm telling you is I'm still excited from getting access to this. But basically, we're going to cover today. I just got a quick hour to dump in here, and we're going to take a look at the multi-agents thing that they just dropped. There's a new composer model, which is super crazy that y'all got to know about. There's also a voice mode, and there's also team commands. There's also things called sandbox terminals. Like, you don't want all your stuff being deleted in your actual code repo. Like, you're going to want to find out why this is going to be really important for you. And then this is just basically the classic read notes problem where they basically list everything as equal as possible. But I don't know about you, but I don't know if you have time to go through every single release note and so forth. So we're going to kind of just hang out here today. I have about an hour to go through this. We're going to figure out like what's actually useful and like what's actually not in the changelog and what are the features that we ship. And I can also see if we can ship something using these types of workflows here. And I'm going to see what kind of works out of the box. So this is going to be like our little first look at this type of thing. And I'm really excited to be coding with you live here on the Ray Fernando podcast. Actually, it's not really a podcast, but this is something I'm trying to do more is basically do these live streams here where we're kind of taking a look at these things. So here we go. Cursor 2.0 is actually here and live, folks. And this is the new thing they called Composer 1. So there's a new agent model. And if you've been using this before, it used to be called Cheetah. So Cheetah was their like secret model. And here we are. It's actually Cursor's new thing designed for software engineering intelligence speed. This thing is incredibly fast, and we're going to go cover that a little bit more. Obviously, the new multi-agent user interface, and then the run agents in parallel. So let's go ahead and just take a look. In this top left corner here, we have this thing called the agents and the editor. And basically right here, folks, is where you can switch between the two. So in this new agents view, what you see is my terminal here on the side, and I can just go ahead and kind of close this out for now if you want to hide this. And then in the center view, we have like the agent panel. So this is going to be like the way that you want to work forward if you just want to work with agents. So that means agents inside of Cursor or agents in the cloud or any type of way that you want to do. So I can bring up a previous conversation I had, and you can see like straight in center, everything is right here, right in focus, so that you can just start using it. It's so much fun coding this way because now I can think about my thoughts and kind of lay them out. And the other thing that has come out very recently is this ability to do planning. So a lot of times when I'm dumping new features, what I do is if I hit Shift Tab, you'll see this new yellow tag down below and it says plan. So you can select that model for planning. And this is really, really, really good. I think they have some type of custom infrastructure where they actually ask you some questions about your plan. And then that's kind of where you go into, hey, you know, like actually shipping the feature and so forth. And this is a plan that I did for the gallery navigation and fix. And so if we take a look at the plan here, open an editor, it actually shows here on the side. So mind you, if you're just tuning in right now, we're still in this new agent editor view. So if you go to the very top left, there's agents over here and editors on the right. So if you want to switch back to your editor, like you need to go dig into some code, you can go ahead and do that. And I like this philosophy because it gets you into two different mind frames. And I treat it kind of like working in real life. If I need to go for a walk and kind of think about something, I change my environment up. I maybe go to a different desk and start kind of doing some layout there. And then I go back to the workshop and go work there. So this is mentally how I'm kind of treating this model. And I think you should start doing this if you haven't been doing this already. It's just trying to have a place that's really clean where you can kind of work and think. And thinking about what you're thinking about is actually really important. I know it sounds really meta, but that is what it is. So in this type of thing, I actually describe what my problem was. And we're going to take a look at this plan builder type of thing because there's a couple of things here. This is actually written in Markdown, but they do give you a preview format, which is nice and readable. Before, when I would read plans, especially in Claude Code, I would have to read through these little stars and all this extra stuff. Now, I can actually preview it right in here. And then this makes it really nice and composable because now things are kind of broken into phases for my actual development. And I do appreciate that. You can also select the model that you want to implement the code in. So for example, if I wanted to move forward with the Sonnet 4.5, I could do that. If I wanted to move forward with a different model like, you know, GPT-5, high or fast, I can go ahead and do that. You could just go ahead and hit the build thing down here. We can build a couple of ways as well now. So we can also build locally, or we can also build in the background. So with those two types of ways, you can actually just, you know, from here, it's like, okay, just run this in the background agent and go ahead and do your thing. And for those who are kind of wondering, well, can I build like multiple times? I think you can actually spawn off like 4 or 5, as many agents as you want. And with the background processing, you're just basically paying for the token use that it costs you to run. So like, let's just say it cost me 100,000 or 30,000 tokens to implement this bug fix or something like that. That's what I would be paying. And if I do it 3 times, that'd be paying 3 times for whatever model I select. And so it sounds confusing, but this is kind of a heads up of how that kind of looks like if you're doing this type of workflow. And yeah, the way that it generates the plans are really, really nice. So this is kind of like the plan view here. If you're done and everything, you can also take a look at this thing here where it says the sidebar. So the sidebar will still come up if you need it here to look at files or look at anything specifically. And then you can still also navigate using this, I think they have this little view here. So if you want to take a look at the diffs of what it's doing, you can click these files here. If I click one of them, and I should be able to view the files here. And then I think there is like a diff view overall at the very bottom, but yes. So another way to switch back and forth between the agent view and the editor view is hit Command E. So if you hit Command E, that's what's going to flip back and forth here. And this is kind of where I can really deep dive into the code as well. So this is really cool. They also have this new thing called the browser. So we can kind of take a look at that. In the side view here, you still have that, by the way. If you wanted to do that, if you have other plugins and things, you can go ahead and do that. Command E here will also do this type of thing where you're able to kind of play around and do that. So yeah, let's go ahead and kind of catch up a little bit. And then let's see what else is going on. So we have plan mode. There's so many different features. I'll show you really quick what's happening in the blog. So this is kind of what they're talking about for like the browser controls. In the browser controls here, you can actually, it's like app browser. And so this is something that you may have seen in other editors as well, where they now let you basically pop up a browser and you can either hook up Google Chrome, use your built-in browser, or run a browser that you've configured and have that going as well, so that you can actually have this conversation back and forth. And this is the plan mode thing that we talked about. Yeah, the plan mode, I think if you're not using plan mode yet, I'd highly suggest you start investigating. And in plan mode, you want to start to get clear about what your features are, and you find that you ship stuff pretty fast this way. You can also use it for research, which is actually what I do a lot. I spend a lot of times at the very beginning doing some research, because something with Next.js 15 just come out, or maybe some of the other conversations about a tool that you're not really familiar with. Use that time in plan mode to start having that conversation, get that fleshed out into a plan. And then that's when you have your plan and you can just have it handed off to an agent to go start working for you. Having that clarity is super important, because every single word type of thing matters, if you know what I mean. And that's able to kind of carry forward there. And then there's also, let's see, MCP resources report. So resources allow servers to share data that provides context language to language models. And so these are the resources that will show that it's used for an MCP server. So that way you have, in essence, like whenever it's used, sometimes you just see it scrolling by in the thinking windows. Now they've sort of actually combined it into this little view here. And then there's an improved terminal for the agents, I guess. I don't know what they show here. There's lots of patches. Yeah, there's a lot of different fixes in here. And then really quickly about the composer. So this is where they've actually built like a fast model. And I just got off a call with them, and they said that this is something that they've used to train similar to the tab model. So they've basically have spent time, and I'm kind of like butchering the summary, but I want to kind of let you know here. The tab to code feature, if you haven't used that, it's incredibly fast. It's probably like some of the best models in the world right now. If you're coding, it just kind of feels like it's predicting things and jumps you across to the different places in your code where you need to go next. And they've used that same sauce, and they've used all this like data that has, come across as far as like using the model. And they're now doing that so that when you start to use the composer inside of Cursor, it can actually have a lot more intelligence, and the speed is crazy fast. You can probably chew up millions of tokens super quickly. And basically they're saying it's a mixture of experts model. So basically what they're saying, this is like a specialized model for like planning, editing, coding, and so forth. And it says it has access to simple tools like reading files, editing files, which is much more powerful. So let's just go ahead and put this thing to the test. I'm going to see, I have an app called AnimeLeak. I just launched this yesterday. And if you want to take a look, this is animeleak.com. I'll drop this in the chat. And let me just go ahead and catch up to the chat as well, because it's been a little while since I got to catch up to the chat. And I just want to make sure I'm not running behind, or my audio is still good, if you know what I mean. So yeah, if you check out animeleak.com, this is where it's at. You can actually sign up for free, which is amazing. So you hit start creating. And then from here, basically what it allows you to do is after you sign in with Google and stuff, I have Google sign in, I have all the different stuff. From here, you can actually upload your images, and then it'll actually transform them into some type of art. And you can actually share this with friends, which is really, really fun. And so this is something that I made. It's also like responsive in this type of mode as well. You get, if you want to use the code, I think I forgot what code I use on X. Let me just show you real quick, x.com. And I have it on my post. So let's just see here. I want to give you a code so you get access, because I have all these access codes that I give away. So Ray Cooks, if you use the code Ray Cooks at checkout, when you go to Anime League and just say buy credits, and just go ahead and buy credits, just use the code Ray Cooks, and then you'll get 420 credits. And so, yeah, I'm very generous with the credits. I just want you to go ahead and have fun and making this type of thing. So that'd be kind of really cool. I really like it. Glad I resubbed to the cursor last week. My only issue is the lack of transparency of the usage. Have they fixed that yet? Well, Andy, I think there are a couple things that you want to take a look at if you haven't had a chance to, as far as like when you go into the cursor, just go to cursor.com into the dashboard. It'll show you all the different usages that you've used, and you can kind of get a sense of how much you've used for the month. And then they also kind of tell you like in cursor pricing, cursor model pricing. So in here, this will tell you that, so you can kind of get a ballpark. I would love to know more details, Andy, as far as like what specifically, is it like when you're coding in the model, like a price tag next to when you're like asking it, or some type of command for you to see? Because that's actually something that could probably be super useful too. I don't always check the price. I just kind of have like a vibe range, but I think one of the features that I would love is like this threshold saying, hey, if I go past $10, let me know. Like that happens when I have Vercel, right? Like when I go past a certain threshold, I get a notification like, uh-oh, I wasn't doing anything. I haven't shipped anything new. Maybe there's a bug or something like that. And so maybe that could be helpful too. Or maybe some type of context threshold, something. Yeah, I agree with you there. There could be like better transparency and stuff as well. So yeah, how's it going, GitMax? Yes. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to ship some features. I don't know. I'm itching to ship some features. So let's go ahead and start a new agent window here in Anime League. I'm just gonna close some of these things. Let me see if I can close. Okay. So let's just start prompting and just start cooking, man. I want to cook so bad right now. Yeah, because I feel like every other person on YouTube is going to cover this exact same spiel that I just did in the first like 10 minutes. And then let's just start getting right into it. So, all right. So what we're going to do is one of the requests was for, let me just kind of get, do I need all this? Okay, cool. So I'm going to try this composer model. So the composer model is supposed to be really good at finding things. So why can't we just use it to compose, right? So my friend AJ actually on my app says that he wants to have like a multiple ways to like drop in multiple. Right now you can only just click one and drop them in. So I want to figure out like a way to do this, and we can kind of test to see how good Composer is, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do that now with WhisperFlow. Test, test, test. Let's see, is my thing working? I think it's not working right now. Whisper, I just rebooted my whole computer. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. Test, test, test. Okay. I want you to help me understand the parts of my code that deal with the image uploads. And I also want you to take a look at my data model file, because in there describes a little bit of what's going on. Oh, you know what? I don't think I've set up a data model for this. I'll show you really quick. Do I have it set up? I don't have one. Oh, I'm going to show you this really cool trick before we get into this, because I think this is going to be super helpful for everyone right now in my documentation. Oh, I do have the data model. Here we go. Cool. Yeah, I made a YouTube video about this. You need to see this video, which will basically show you how to understand like the model of your data. Like it's called an entity relationship diagram, or ERD. And this is actually kind of just goes through the code and shows you what's happening on your front end, what's happening with the UI. And I give you the whole prompt and everything. And so it tells you, like, this is super helpful to hand off to a language model, so it has an idea of what a flow is and what's actually kind of happening in your app and so forth. So this is something that I'm going to try to hand off to a composer as well. So I want you to help me understand the parts of my code that deal with image uploads. Data model file, okay. At data model file, because it tries to help you find things in the code. Okay. the goal of this planning session is to make a new feature where users can drop in multiple images to be uploaded and processed, and we display them in the gallery. Okay, so let me go ahead and change it from agent mode to plan mode. So if I hit Shift Tab, you see I hit the plan thing here, and then we have the composer model selected. So this is going to be really fun to see if we can compose with this, and I'm just curious to see how fast it's going to go through my code. So it's basically now doing some searches, and it's like, from what I heard from the Cursor team is that this type of feature with the composer will continue to improve over time with all the releases, because this is what they call like a post-training method. So now that everything's kind of been trained on all this data, they can continue to refine it and kind of make it better and better and better. So the composer we're using today will continue to improve from whenever you use it as well. So now it's asking some questions here. So the image selection via files via input or camera capture. And so this is kind of the function that handles that. And here's the upload for the file server side. So here's a scheduling, and the gallery deducts there. So how many images should you be able to upload at once? Let's start out with 5 images to start, just to keep it really simple. Okay. And then the other thing is credit deduction behavior. So check total credits up front, deduct all at once, failed entire batch if insufficient, processes images one by one. Stop. Okay. Yeah, so this is a really important question. I don't know if you realize this, that whenever you throw this in, if you don't have enough credits, we should probably check that up front, right? So I think this would be a really good process, all valid images and skip those. Okay, so I want to check the total credits up front. Mind you, we should also think about the whole architecture, because if I want to increase the limit, I don't want to have to change lots of places in the code. I should just be able to change it with a variable or whatever we set somewhere else. So this is kind of thinking about the higher level architecture, because I know in the future, like I'm just testing out 5, but eventually I want to do more like batch images basically. Here we go, upload progression, sequential, parallel, all at once, or batched, concurrent. Interesting. I think if we can do the upload in parallel, that would be incredible, because a lot of these systems can handle it nowadays, because I'm using Vercel. And then so single batch process bar for the entire batch, individual progress bars. Oh, this would be cool. I think it would be really cool to have the images in their current placeholders, and we would have some type of progress bar or something that will show this for that. Since we're touching code there, we should also be mindful that this should also work if there's only one image that's uploaded. Okay, so this is a queue style list that's going through each image. Okay. The UI feedback. Okay. Since we're touching, okay. Since we're using convex and everything's really reactive, it should just feel very natural and all happens at the same time and really beautiful and fast. Cool. So I'm going to copy and paste all this just in case something happens. But I don't know about you. I'm really curious. Can I run multiple plans at once? Can I? No, that'd be so fire. Okay, I can't. I was hoping to. I was really hoping to like select multiple plans, but that'd be awesome. Okay, let me just go ahead and run this right now. Yo, what's going on, man? Got a super chat from Merd Pro. Composer is previous cheetah agent in stealth mode. Yes, correct. Correct. That's exactly what we ended up coming in. So composer is the old cheetah. And if you can kind of think about it, but the old cheetah is like actually fairly old. They do this technique, and I was just talking with them. They have like a post-training technique. So they continue to train this model well after that, cheetah thing that we've been playing with. So what we're actually experiencing right now is the most up-to-date model. And it may actually behave even better from what you've been previously playing with. And that's what I'm really curious about. It's like, let's play around with this model. It's supposed to be good at planning. It's supposed to be good at a lot of these other types of tasks. And the composing is really, really fast. So if we kind of take a quick look at the blog real quick, I just want to read this for you real quick, and we can kind of go over it. So it says, composer combines strong coding intelligence with the best-in-class speed. So they take a look at Fast Frontier and these other types of models, and they're taking a look at like the intelligence from their scores. And so they're talking about the motivation coming from Cursor Tab, and it being like a completion model. So they're just like, if we can do it in tab, why can't we do it for the rest of the engineering workflow, like planning, like everything that people are currently doing in our app to, use agents? And that's, I think, where the big light bulb went off. And they've been doing this for a long time, actually, which has been super helpful. And so they talk about some of the technicals here, but this is Composer's software engineering reliability, ability, and improves with RL training. So this is, they're saying basically this is the compute log. This is the best open model. So as Composer increases consistency, it just kind of basically up and to the right, which is the best thing you want to do. Eventually, I'll have some type of flat line mathematically, but we're still going to be able to figure out what that kind of looks like in the future. So I think that's kind of like the high level like summary, if you can kind of think about it. That's not really a thing. So this is benchmark on an internal benchmark in Cursor tool harness. We group the models into classes based on the score and report in the best model in class. So the fast frontier includes models designed for efficient inference, such as Haiku 4.5 and Gemini Flash. So the best open includes, so you can kind of think of them like that score that we just saw as like something above these guys. And the best recent open weight model is Quencoder GLM 4.6. So the Frontier 2025 is the best available of July of this year. And the best Frontier includes GPT-5, Sonnet 4.5, which outperform Composer. So for the tokens per second calculations, they're standardized across these models to the latest Anthropic tokenizer. Interesting. So this is kind of where they're talking about this. Composer learns to parallelize tool calls. This is kind of where the RL, and this is the base. And then Composer search and file read tools. So this is just where they just accelerate here. So this is really wild. Okay, so now this is making more sense. So here's the comparison of the best open source, Frontier, Fast Frontier, and then the best Frontier. So like, look at this. If you're looking at the most expensive models, right, GPT-5 and Sonnet, it's just a little bit behind it. In terms of speed, look at the speed increase that you get. And this is their Frontier here, and this is Fast Frontier. So like if you're taking a look at Gemini, Flash, GLM, and those guys, Haiku, you're kind of sitting back here. So this would be really interesting to see. Like it's interesting how they anchor this type of framing here. But we're going to see how the composability is in shipping our software. So this is pretty involved as far as like uploading multiple files. And we're going to just do this live because, I mean, why not do it live? Just do it live. Let me go ahead and just kind of, okay, go back to here. And I just want to read this plan here. Okay, so they have the enable users to upload 5 files, right? And then the feature must maintain full backward compatibility with a single image uploads. Okay, architecture design is here. Create a centralized config file. I like this a lot. So this is where we define the max upload side and the supported images. And then the upload flow for the current flow, single image, user selects and captures one image, and the upload file processes. And then here's the new workflow. All images are prepared in parallel. Convex reactivity shows progress naturally, which is great. Credit check, also validate users' credits over numbers images. Cool. And here's the implementation phases. So create an upload configuration. This is a pretty massive change. Okay, so the additional wrinkle that I'm going to throw into this is that I'm going to do a thing called stacked diffs. And I'm going to try this out because I've been learning this recently, and I'm going to want to see how good a Cursor is at doing this as well. So I want you to reference the Graphite MCP and help me compose this plan so that we can ship it using stacked diffs. This seems to be like a lot of changes, and mind you, as the diffs are created and we create PRs for each of them, we don't want to have a PR that is going to break everything else, and we want to kind of keep that in mind here. So I want you to think about this plan again and see if you can craft a plan using that, and you can use their MCP to learn more. You can also use ref tools for search or Exacode AI MCP. So we should be able to do some tool calling inside of Composer here, and it should be able to, yeah, so here it is, it ran it, and now it's getting some information about it and kind of updating its whole thing. So now we're going to actually introduce this thing called stack diffs. This is something from Graphite, and they've previously sponsored my last live stream. If you want to learn a little bit more, I got to interview the founder, which was really, really awesome and incredible. I'm going to open this window now that we have some more light. And this is a cool workflow that I'm still kind of experimenting with, but I find it really nice because now we can break apart the changes into these different PRs. And this is like an engineering workflow like you would normally have in a larger company, because you start to break apart the features and not just YOLO ship everything. And I find that really good for engineering practice. in general. So you can try them for free actually, which is nice. And that's the link below there. So rfer.me/graphite. That'll get you for the sign up. And then if you just put the code STACKWITHRAY, that's where you'll get like an extra month for free. So that's $40 a month. It's equivalent to Cursor's bug bot that you would normally pay. It has AI code reviews, has all the other stuff. And they previously have sponsored. I really like their stuff. It's really great. And I just wanted to let you know about that. So you can kind of check that out. Yeah, GitMax has also checked it out, which is really cool. And now you can actually see how I kind of try to use it in real life. Composer gives me PTSD. Oh, the old Composer, yeah. So honest opinion, is Cursor Plus or Ultra worth it perspective? Okay, I'm so torn between these two because in the next live stream that I do, because I got to hop off at 8:30, which is probably in like 30 minutes, is this workflow compared to Droid. We need to compare those two because I've been using Droid a lot. I use Droid almost like a lot to ship my app Anime Leak, like almost like a huge percentage of it, really. So for those who are wondering, Anime Leak is my app here, and you can basically just upload a photo and just kind of watch it do this magical thing. And so you can't really tell it what to do. You just upload the photo and it'll figure out, because it's intelligent, what specific things it'll think is, depending on the personality, the mood, or whatever you upload. There's a lot of context that you get from an image, and it just kind of tries to figure that out and tries to bring out the essence. And if it doesn't work, you can just upload another photo and try again. If you want to use the code Ray Cooks. Okay, so Ray Cooks for here, you can get 420 credits for free. And just to start, you get 10 credits just to upload here. So you can get started here to just, if you don't sign up and just want to try it out, you get 10 credits. But here, if you just add in Ray Cooks, you easily get 420 credits. I'm paying out of pocket for this, mind you, so be careful. And you're basically spending my money, but I feel like there are, I've recently had a slew of sponsors. Graphite is one of them. Factory AI has also sponsored my live streams previously. And so like that nice little cash injection has helped this channel be where it's at today. And these people, I like their businesses and I like what they do, Cursor and all these products that I use. And I talk about them, and it's just so cool to, have them support the channel. And so that's actually sort of fueling that website right now. It's like, I can give away all those credits and you're, burning my GPUs, but it's really thanks to them. And that's what I appreciate, but also thanks to you for showing up. This whole community is here because we all love to do these things and we're just super curious. And now I'm super curious to see what the results of this plan is going to be. So we have the upload config constraints. So it broke apart them into different features. So now we're breaking apart the actual plan into these smaller components, which I really like. And the models also like this too, because they can just focus on these specific pieces of the code. And each part of the plan, we can continue to iterate and fix bugs. So that way we're not checking in this massive PR where we're just like, I guess it works. You know what I mean? So it's more like, that's what I would normally do. But there's now actually a whole thing called Stack Diffs behind this. It's like a whole new workflow type of thing, which is awesome. So here we have the configuration constraints. This is actually a really easy change. And then we have the stack queue management, which is also here. And we also have the batch upload. So this is going to be probably the bigger change here with all these extra checks as well. So let's go ahead and just throw this into Claude Sonnet and just let it cook for a while. So why safe? Because Claude Sonnet's really fast. This is great. I like this whole thing. GT create. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. Backward compatibility. Each PR maintains backward compatibility. So there's no code changes, and the state. So there's no, the new state interfere with, okay, it doesn't interfere with the existing flow. And then the batch function is not used yet because of the way we're going to ship it. And then the UI display is empty. Okay, this is great. So here's the review orders: config, infrastructure, logic, ready but unused. And then we ship the UI, which accepts multiple processes in one. See how it kind of shifts its thinking for shipping the software. I like this way of thinking. And then there's a queue. And then finally is just enabling everything all in one. So the final integration. So each PR can be reviewed and merged independently without breaking existing functionality. Sheesh, let's go. Okay, this is gonna be fire. All right, so now in order for us to take this and ship it, we're gonna change it from Composer over to Sonnet 4.5. So if we go Sonnet 4.5, now we should be able to, I just leave it in max mode so I get the maximum amount of tokens. And so this is gonna 2x the cost once we exceed 200,000 tokens, because now we're going through that 1 million token context window. So I'm just curious to see how many tokens will this model in Cursor's new agent eat up for us. You know what I mean? I'm just curious. Drop it in the chat if you know how many tokens we're going to eat up at the end of this session. Is it going to be 100,000? Is it going to be 50,000? Is it going to be 30,000 to ship this feature? What do you think? Have you been coding with AI? Is it going to take us even more than that? I'm just really curious. If you just drop it right now, let's see who's got some stuff. Custom agent was removed in 2.0. I think so. Custom agents. Oh, I think, yeah, being able to set your own custom, like whatever agent that you want to do. Correct. Yeah. So here we are. I'm going to set this up and go to Sonnet 4.5 thinking, and I'm going to just go ahead and hit the build button. So I'm going to build this by default. I think it's going to build locally. So that's what it says right here. And if I wanted to build this in the background, I could do that, but I want to build locally because I want to see the speed here. So let's go ahead and build it. And now we're just going to watch it build its thing. So we're currently in the new agent window. So I haven't really looked at the code because I don't really need to right now. But as the app as it starts building, we're going to start to see some of those pieces kind of start rolling in. So we're seeing, I'll implement the stack diff plan starting with stack 1. Let me begin by marking the first to do progress and creating the configuration file. So now it's actually running my build tools here, and I'm just letting it do its thing here. So it wrote a file, and what else is it doing here? Yeah, let's see if there's anything else here on the side. So yeah, I don't think I need that. Let's see here. Cool. Man, this is fun. Yeah. And so now stack 1 is complete. Now moving stack 2 for queue management. This is great. Cool. Hey, Scott, how's it going? Aloha. Yo, man, we're shipping features. 1 mil. Yo, let's see. Pretty neat stuff. Yeah, I think I like this interface. And it'll be really cool to see how it goes through with implementing this plan, because we're basically doing a stack diff. We're just going to introduce feature 1, feature 2. Like we're just going to go straight through this whole thing here. So what's interesting is that I'm not seeing it use the GT command to do the actual diffs itself. So I think it's actually, it says stack 2 is complete. Yeah, so I think what I should do is kind of stop the agent here and saying, I noticed you aren't using the GT commands to submit them into can you double check that before you proceed? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Oh, hey guys, I'm absolutely right. Yeah, I was speaking of custom agents. There's no command for it, but you have to ask the agent the system in place that it can make a custom agent specialized to your code base. Oh, I see. Yeah, for sure. This UI is really clean. Why did you choose to use Composer for the plan and then a more expensive model for the integration? I thought generally it'd be better to do the opposite. Well, I think this is kind of the test here, to be honest. I wanted to see like how good it is at grabbing files and everything from my code base. Can it understand everything in natural language that I've been doing? Because I have been trying to, like, I used to use Composer initially when it was in this cheetah model. And then I would try to then hand that off to like another model to finish the plan. But to be honest, after reading the plan, it looks pretty damn spot on. Like that's exactly what I would have Sonnet do or Opus do. And like the model already did the heavy lifting to do those types of things. I think part of the reason though is because I have this thing called the DataModelFile. I have a YouTube video. It's just 5 minutes. If you go check that out, I have 2 prompts that you do that will basically start to map everything in your code base and start to put them into these relationships of data, like entity relationship diagrams. And handing those off to the models beforehand is low-key a cheat code, because now it has way more context and it's much more rich in terms of what's happening in your UI and the relationships between those. So yeah, just an FYI. And this is just a test, and that's why I do it live. Like we're just going to figure this out. You know what I mean? Also, the reason why I chose Sonnet for the model is because Sonnet has built most of my app. But at the same time, the conventions for UI and everything that I find is to be really, really good. And it's actually something I'm going to talk about today in the, I have a podcast called the Rate Limited Podcast. I'm going to be talking with Gosu Coder and also with Eric Provencher from Repo Prompt. So if you haven't had a chance to, youtube.com/rate limited pod, I think, at Rate Limited Pod. Let me just make sure I Rate Limited, LIMITED, I think, yeah. So we have a podcast, and this is kind of where we talk about kind of what the latest happenings are in the industry. And we're going to have, I'm going to record one today with the guys because every 2 weeks we drop a new one. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely go ahead and check that out at Ray Limited Pod, which would be super amazing. So yeah, we'll take a look and see. So that's pricing cursor. We have anime leak, and we're taking a look at we took a look at the blog. There's a lot that's happened in this changelog. And I think, what else did we have here? Oh yeah, so the other thing that they talked about was this. Yeah, this is their code review thing. So this is the review feature. So I'm going to see if we can kind of take a look at that, because this will happen once we finish our plan. We're going to be able to review the code. Actually, I should be doing this right now. I have my little alarm just to remind me that our recording is probably pretty soon. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's 8:30. Okay, cool. So yeah, okay. The other thing is voice mode. So they do have a voice mode, and we're going to see if we can play around with that, because I currently use WhisperFlow, but I'm really curious to see how that will look like too, because that's a new feature. And that should basically be down here. And I don't actually see the voice icon, so that'd be interesting. Maybe it's not in the new agent mode. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so we're cooking, fam. Let's see what's going on. I totally lost track of what we're doing here. So get status, get branch, get clean. Okay. Run the GT commands. Okay, so it did create them here. Okay, so now we're actually following this stacked diff. Stack 4 is complete. Moving stack 5. Okay, excellent, stack 5. Okay, cool. Wow. Dude, we're going to ship this whole thing already? So we're basically doing this stack structure where now we're actually at this last and final step where it's going to actually do this thing with the multi-file upload. So there should be a review file. I don't see one for review. Let's see. Enable, configure editors, show. Huh. Yeah. Oh, here we go. If we hit review, yeah, the review thing is going to show this new pane of all the code that's changed. And so with the stacked diff things, what's nice about it is that whenever you're working for that specific part of the stack, you're only going to review that part of the code, which I find really clean, because now we can isolate, what we're working on. So in the enable multi-file upload part of our plan, so we go to the last part of our plan in that stack, it says, this is what we're going to be doing. These are the changes that we're doing, so that makes it easier for us to review. So we're going to basically just touch this file. And the only thing we're doing in this file is calling these changes. So refactor this, so we're doing that. And we're going to upload past now the bash function of 1. So now if I go to review here, just by hitting this review button, we're just in this file, and I'm able to kind of stay isolated. You can kind of see it says 235 lines are hidden. And this type of review structure is pretty cool, actually. And it's there's a config file we've added here for the batch upload sizes and some of the constants that we're using in here. And so now if we go to see max box upload size, we see this appear 5. And so in the future, if I change that to 10, that's the only part of the code I have to worry about. And then where else is that being referenced? So if we go to max batch upload size, we define a queue here. There's like a state variable, and add to queue, update queue, and remove from queue. I think the other thing is, I wonder why we're doing this as a state. Let's see. Use callback. Okay. Batch upload function for multiple images not called yet. So here we are. Check the credits up front. Require credits. Yes. Create the multiple IDs. And then here's prepare all images in parallel. So this is for the preparation if we need to compress them. Got it. Okay. So now we're just going to do update the queue, upload the Vercel blob via server. Okay. This is great. And now, wow. Okay. Count the success and failures. Yeah, because some of them will have failures if they fail to upload or not. And this is going to see where it counts them. And this is where it's going to be able to update that. Wow. Show the appropriate toast. This is great. Cool. And then the single upload. Okay. So we don't do that. We just basically do this thing here. Awesome. Full area file input. So we have now the input was going to select multiple files, and it looks like it's going to validate the count against what we're allowing it to do. So that's already going to respect that, which is awesome. And then for now, process only the first file to maintain backward compatibility. Oh, the other reason, so now, as of now, we're basically saying we've only used 174,000 tokens. So this is actually showing us the active rules, the development workflow, the main, and the agents MD. So that's an interesting as far as like how what context has been used and stuff like that. Huh, that's pretty cool. So what else do we have here? Upload queue display. Okay, wow. It's quite a bit of code changes. Multi-image stack plan here. Okay, Whoa. So all stack PRs have been successfully created and submitted. Now let me create updated to-dos and create the stack plan documentation. Wow. Yeah, so one of the things that Cursor loves, not Cursor, but the Sonnet models love to do is they love to give you documentation afterwards, which I don't mind, to be honest, because it's super helpful. Like, especially if you want to review everything. So yeah, let me go ahead and take a look. I have another thing called Git Tower. So if I hit Command J, I should be able to pop up our terminal, right? Yeah, Git Tower. And this app, I'll be able to see the stack. So in here, what do? I say I use Graphite and activate the workflow. So this is that all those stacks of PRs now turn into this like workflow here that you see. And this is kind of what we're looking at here. So right now we're basically here, and this is the part of the stack here. And then like this is number 8. So add the UI and so forth. So like the way that the stack works for, I guess in just visually, is that this is the first review that we would do for the PR. This is the second PR that we would do. And it's basically just dealing with the upload. And so all we did is just touch code for the upload here. And then in this type of view here, we have to add batch for the upload function. So this is just dealing with that specific part of the function. So you can see how everything's broken apart into these different sections for the code review. And if we were to just ship this as one giant thing, we'd have this massive file change in this diff and you'd be like, I guess it works. But separating these concerns does a couple of things. One, it keeps the language model very focused. So if you keep the model focused, especially for the output, you're going to get better output because now it has like a much more clear goal for grabbing context and really just executing on that task. So stacked diffs by accident gets the model to sort of be a little bit more intelligent because you can, actually kind of get it more like without eating too much context. Because if you have one giant file that it's focused on and it's like, as it's trying to search through that file, it could get distracted on its way to actually fixing your specific thing. But if it knows, it's like, okay, this is the only code that I have checked out right now. This is my exact goal according to my plan, which is add the upload function. It's going to be very targeted. It says, this is what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to look for this. If it doesn't have it, I'm going to add this function in. And we're going to create this thing. We're going to do this and we're going to do this. And then it goes through the code and does that specific thing. And then it's like, cool, we're done with that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. And you can kind of see how this really starts to compound because now your plans have these, it's broken apart in these really logical, it's like telling an intern, it's like, no, go do this. Like you can just give them this procedural recipe to kind of start going. And I feel like we're still early on this whole stack diff things. And this is what I'm still trying to figure out. And that's kind of why I've been playing around with this because it's like, I think I can get much more reliable agents, but also my goal is to get much more reliable parallel agents and also reliable background agents. So if I have background agents, each taking care of each of these different pieces, now I don't have to worry about them overriding different parts of the things. They have their own actual branch that's checked out. They write the code in, and then when they check it in, they'll basically just rebase on the other ones. And that's all done through the, Graphite workflow, right? So, I don't know about you, but it's very promising and I still am playing around, but this is the very beginnings of it. The first part of it, let's just make a plan that just kind of waterfalls itself. And in the future, I'm going to try to experiment with these other things. But that's kind of why I'm really excited about this type of thing, because you can see how it really makes sense. If you're going to write software, like you have to actually think about it and redo that procedurally, right? And these language models are really good at planning for that. And we just use Composer, the new Composer 1 model, to compose everything here. So Composer 1 looked through our code, had an understanding of what our data modeling was look like. It's really fast at generating tokens and everything. We iterated a couple steps with our plan. Then we told it to use an MCP tool so that it was able to use the MCP tool inside of the new agents window. And then from there, we're able to generate this nice new, stacked structure workflow type of thing. And that's kind of what we're getting there so far. So now we just have to basically verify that everything works the way it works, right? So all the code is here. It's all like all the parts of the stack have been checked in, and we should now verify that this works, right? So let's go ahead and see if I can run this bunx convex dev and run my dev stuff here. And then this is already running in port 3000. Okay. Theoretically. Cool. Sweet. Okay, so this is ready. And then let me go over here and then hit this window and we should be able to check that out. Let's see. Okay, cool. So here we are. Let me just go ahead and start to log in. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so now if we drop, I should be able to just drop a whole bunch of these, right? Like uploading one image. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's see. Interesting. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so let me just go ahead and show in Finder. And maybe, I think the bug here is like I clicked it, and I wonder if there's different code that is involved for each parts of those types of things. So if I go over here and I just drag these, can I just do it like that? Ah, yo, this is crazy. Wow. Oh, that's fascinating. That was fast. Okay. So we should see them all come back in parallel, right? I should see this in my logging over here. Yeah. Here's all of them that got uploaded. Nice. Okay. And then here's my backend log's going crazy right now because I think that they're all just finishing up. Hey, let's go. And what else is happening? Yeah, so it looks like all of them are getting processed in parallel. Oh, okay, successfully generated. Yeah, we have some that just finished right now. So what happens in development mode sometimes, especially if I'm switching windows, is I lose the connection to the WebSocket. And here we go. Okay. Pagination. Yeah. Okay. So does it finish? Yeah. Okay. Let me just refresh here. Okay. Yo, this is crazy. Yo, this is fire. Look at that. Okay. Yeah. So I need to test this more. So one of the bugs we need to fix is like when I click to browse and I select multiple files, it only selects one. So I'm going to want to tell it to fix that bug. All right. So I just did some initial testing, and when I click and select multiple files, it only processes one. The good news is that when I drag multiple files, it does allow me to process them at the same time, which is really beautiful. And so there should be some code in the page section that deals with the upload state thing, and I wanted to go ahead and fix that. Let's go ahead and see if I can let it do its thing here. Image gen app equivalent of the to-do list of the LLMs, bro. Yeah, actually, this is facts, bro. This is facts. There's a couple of different things to this, and I totally love this because I was able to make the image gen pretty fast, but building the infrastructure around it was like the bigger challenge. And then the biggest challenge that I was not expecting that I want to share right now is how do you get image upload processing and then like not eat up all of your bandwidth and so forth. So I've settled on using the Vercel blob and using the Vercel like next image stuff. And they've have this new pricing, which is super competitive to Cloudflare's offering. And the DX experience and everything is actually it's way better. And with Next now, especially with Next 16, they have this new ability to let you say like, I'm only allowing these types of qualities of sizes to be generated, because previously people would pass in query parameters to your images and then have your server start processing these different image sizes. So that eats your bandwidth costs no matter who your hosting provider is. And so with Vercel now and in Next.js, you can explicitly set, I'm only generating these sizes. And so what happens is those images get processed and they get pushed out onto the CDNs. And then they're all living on the edge of the networks. And so what makes it really nice is like, if you're here in Hawaii, the first person to go visit and grab that image will see it. And then like I go visit it, it'll be super snappy because they're using all the AWS edge stuff, and you don't have to think about it. All you have to think about is just uploading an image, processing it, and then you're just using the image tag. So Next Image will do that for you automatically. You don't have to pay a server cost. Like I don't have to send that image to another node process inside of Vercel to do processing. That's already built in. It's already baked into their stuff, and it's already highly competitive. And so that's one of the bigger advantages of why I'm super bullish on this. I'm like, yo, they really cooked though, for real. So I think that's the slept on part, right? Like this is what makes it beyond a to-do list. It's like you can get this running locally. Yeah, you can get your images generated, but to actually deploy it at scale with lots of people is kind of my current test right now, which is kind of why I'm asking people to go sign into animeleak.com. Literally, it's like supported by you. You can try 420 worth of credits if you just type in Ray Cooks. Go get you 420 credits for free. It's $5 otherwise to get credits, but like this is something that I feel like is the best thing to do right now. I'm trying to learn. And the way I learn, by the way, I have to learn by doing this stuff. I have to grab everything. I would not be able to tell you that level of detail for how like image processing works if I wasn't actually looking into the problem myself, right? So that's actually what I do here. And this is my favorite thing to do, code live with these AI models, get to try this out and share it back with you and learn with you. I feel like this is the movement that we're in. We need more of this type of things. I'm encouraging lots of people to start live streaming because I feel is the future, like building community like this. And this is what we do. This is really cool. So on that note, let's just see if it actually fixed our bug and stuff. Yo, Eric, man, in the chat, we got Cursor Crack Team is showing up in the chat. Thank you so much for joining on that. Like, this is really, really cool. I appreciate the love. This new, composer model, Eric, wow. It is a lot better from the Cheetah model. But on top of that, like I actually used it to generate this whole damn plan. It is super smart and super fast. And then we switched it over to Sonnet, and now we're just kind of iterating on bug fixing, which is amazing. So the info here is where all the brain power goes when you code to cooking. Yeah, I love your live stream. Request a little post in advance on YouTube community about your live stream schedule for the day of whenever you plan. I like tuning in for all, but I miss a few. Yeah, okay, I'll be better about that, Jack, because I'm trying to like at least stream once on the weekend, whether Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and then at least once during the week. And I've been trying to time it around model announcements, and that's been kind of hard because, Google Gemini was supposed to drop something. All these people were supposed to drop stuff on Tuesdays and stuff, and that's usually when they do things. But I'm trying to be flexible, but I want to maybe add some more stability. So, Jack, I'll work on that. I'll get that posted for you for sure, because I do want to have a really good schedule. What's under the hood for scaling? For scaling, it's just Vercel. I mean, the Vercel handles all that. So like blob storage, they have replication, they have caching, like they're using basically so what Vercel is using is AWS. So Vercel uses AWS underneath the hood. And with AWS, I don't know if you know this, but whenever you walk into AWS, it's like literally a B-52 like mega bomber pilot plane where there's every single switch that you can change known to man. And apparently that can get you to anywhere in the world to do anything as precise as much as you want. So you control all the variables. And when I say you, I'm not trying to do that right now. I hand that off to Vercel. So Vercel team focuses on delivering like high availability, like high bandwidth, high throughput. So what they've done recently is that they've actually, they've acquired one of their private lines. So whenever they're doing some data replication schemes into Europe. So like if you take a look at my app in Europe right now, like in Germany, what they've done is they have a private line that goes from New York, where my code is deployed right now in New York. They have their own line. No other apps or anything are allowed to do it. Just their own Vercel infrastructure. I think they call it like a dark cable or something like that. But basically, it just means that there's no other clients allowed to use that bandwidth, and they just get a clean signal. They replicate that way, and they start producing and they start hitting all their different servers on that end. And it costs a lot of money to do that if you were to try to do it privately. But they have a business justification. And so that type of thing is super important if you're trying to get high availability and high deliverability. And so now, like whenever you're doing images and stuff like that, everything should be super snappy. Obviously, like they write their framework to take advantage of that. So that's Next.js, which really goes hand in hand with that. You can deploy an open source, but then you would have to figure out how to figure out these schemes for, deploying your data. Even Cloudflare has their own version. They have their own pages builder, which does that thing. Mind you, I'm still new to web development, but this is something new that I've been learning about. And that's kind of why I keep going back to Vercel. It's like, it's just really easy. And I don't have to think about it. And I like the continued improvements and also the competitiveness, especially for pricing. So this is my grand experiment right now. Anime Leak is my way of trying to learn about this and share it back. As I learn, I'll show you more. So Composer's showing no cost. I want to say Composer's price is very similar to the Gemini Flash models. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So the issue was that the file input handlers were still calling the upload files, array of 0. Okay, so instead of the upload batches, files to process. So the drag and drop was handled. So the both now handle this. Okay, so where's the code review? So I've updated PR number 9 to fix this. Okay, The dev server is running. Try selecting multiple images via file picker and it should process them all. Okay, cool. Let's just refresh this here. Okay, let me go back over here in cursor. Yeah, I probably have to kill this server here. Let me just here. And then let's see. Let me just do another window here. So if I just do Control R will let you search through your actual terminal history. And if I do ls of, I already have a previous command that I have to kill all the different ports. So that's ls of -ti port 3000. And then you can just pass that onto, or just pipe it over to xargs kill -9. So once you basically list whatever that process is, then you'll be able to then kill it. And then you basically pipe that out to like dev null and exit out true. So that's what that command does. And you can kind of see the server's killed. And then we're just going to restart it here. Command bun dev. Cool. And then I should be able to command click and go back into this thing. So now that we're loading this up here, so drag and drop another file. Okay, so what I want to go is maybe go to my desktop. I have a whole bunch of images that I want to process. So I have some sample images here. I'm just going to process all 5 of these sample images. So go ahead and hit upload. And so now, oh, this is fire. Let's go. I like the color changes too. I think that's really cool. Yo, this is crazy. Okay, so here we go. Yo, we got a crazy super chat. That's what's up, man. It says, really enjoying your streams. At least I can catch it. Thank you for sharing all the research that you're doing at the cost of your own tokens too. Hey, Revana, I really appreciate that, man. Like, thank you so much for the support, first of all. And second of all, I'm just really happy that everyone's able to kind of show up with me live. And literally we've started this live streaming stuff almost a year ago, where I'm consistently kind of trying to do this type of thing. And this is my new type of venture that I'm really trying to do, because I want to make apps and really learn about how these types of things work. But in this age of AI, I think it could really change a lot of people's lives in different ways. And I have to learn by doing. So I really have to kind of get my feet / hands wet, if you know what I mean. And this is, for me, I feel like this is the way to do it, is just by doing it live. And that's actually how I got started, because I got started literally, I don't have a college degree. I don't have, whatever. Like, I got to work at Apple and be behind some of the most craziest engineering problems in the world. Billions of people can update their phones because of a lot of the stuff that I worked on. And I'm so thankful for Apple giving me that opportunity. They didn't just say, hey, you're someone who doesn't have a degree, we're not even going to talk to you, right? They just said like, yo, show me what you got, kid. And that's the start that I got, right? I grew up in the Bay Area, super poor. Like, all my friends had cool stuff. I couldn't get that. And so, that really ate away at me a lot, but it taught me a lot of really important life lessons that I feel I still carry forth today. And there are people that showed up in my life at the right times to teach me some important lessons. And those people have like really accelerated my career higher because they took that time to really fuel my curiosity. And I feel like these live streams are that. Like, I'm doing that for myself, early on. And if you can gain something from this, just from, doing what other people help me do, I feel like that's the biggest win too. It doesn't require any money, right? This is on YouTube, live streaming for free. We're literally witnessing the biggest change in humanity unfolding between us. And it's actually happening with coding stuff. Ideas are now being able to be explained out just the way like this. We're able to use Cursor in this manner to express our ideas, to have it come out. And as you learn your engineering, as you get deeper into the engineering, debugging, and all these different workflows, you can see like what I'm doing, how much it accelerates those types of, capabilities to get stuff out. So that's kind of what I'm about right now. This is what I love to do. My name is Ray Fernando. I used to be an engineer at Apple for almost 13 years. And, I left in 2023, or I was let go basically. And now I'm here hanging out with you guys, playing around with the latest AI models and trying to apply myself into this type of thing. So Revenue Pulse, thank you so much for the super chat. That really means a lot to me, the community, but also to be able to provide these types of information for you guys. So one of the problems I have right now, I got to head out in like 5 minutes and we're hanging here. So I want to try to see if I can debug this really quickly, because I'm trying to see what the actual issue is. Are we hanging on request? I have an idea. My hunching suspicion is that when I do one image, I would usually have convex, like it's listening for a very specific thing. And I think our implementation probably used some type of use hook type of thing incorrectly. And it's waiting on that hook to be done. And it's probably not updating the rest of them. And it's sort of dependent on that. So I'm not going to make that assumption. I'm just going to say like my images are hanging. I want you to review like, okay, let's just see how I can do this. Okay. Let me see if I can give it some of the logs too, so that it has a little bit more context. So in Command Shift A, okay. I go to console. I'm just going to drag some of the logs here. So filtering. Okay. So I'm going to go like this. And so that my backend, yeah, post received. Okay. And over here, so front end logs. And then I do these angle bracket things because that helps the model stay, whoops. Okay, whoops. Front end logs, okay. So that, and then back end logs. Back end logs. I think because we're using, yeah. I don't have to do this angle brackety thing because Cursor already does that with this thing, but that just gives it additional metadata context, backend logs. Okay. So I'm going to say, I uploaded the 5 images, and what I noticed in all of the generations that I've done is that it will just continue to hang in the spinner despite receiving the processed images. And I want you to take the time to really debug this and think through all the parts of the code that are touched. Mind you, we're also using convex, so everything should just be naturally reactive. I also want you to do an audit of the different hooks and things that we were doing because it's possible we're using them incorrectly. And feel free to use ref for search MCP so that you can also learn a little bit more about this flow. Okay, so I'm basically telling it to do a little bit of research and debugging, and we're still using the same chat. And right now we have about 195,000 tokens of context used out of basically 1 million. And a couple of different things that we can do here. I'm hoping that like this can just be a really quick research bug fix task and we can just kind of close it out. If not, I'll probably just open up a new chat for efficiency, but I find Sonnet works extremely well under these types of conditions, and I don't have to like always open up new chats, which makes it really easy to manage things. Separately from that, I use Droid quite a bit from Factory AI, and I don't really have to open up new chats. I can have like 500 different messages going because they're constantly doing that in the background. This is a little bit of a different approach, so that's why I'm really curious to see how this will actually do it. So excellent observation. So now it's used, like taking a look at that React use effect dependency array, and then convex React use query and these patterns. So what I told it to do is like, hey, go search and learn about this and come back. And then before you do those types of things, it already has that in its context. And now it can make a better decision to go forth with that. The reason why I use this thing called ref.tools for the MCP is because it already does a lot of that indexing in the background, and it's not going to waste my context window on that. And that is super important. And the way that I like to describe that is ref.tools is like ordering an Uber for a specific thing that you want. You know, I want this tool, go get it. You know, I'm going to order an Uber to get a banana and then they bring it to you. Versus if you use some other tools like Context 7, it's like, hey, Context 7, can you bring me a banana? It brings a dump truck, dumps it in front of your house, and you're like, go find it. It's like, I have to use my context window for that. You know, like I don't want to do that. And so that's the differences between the two, which is kind of why I really like this a lot. So what they're saying is the queue is not clearing properly. The set timeout to remove items might be getting lost. And so this is kind of where it finds this code here. So I don't like these timeouts here. Queue remove item completed. Okay, so let's see. Now check the image preview. So this thing just looks off, like really bad. And I have to go in 2 minutes. But basically, I need to fix this since this is kind of an iteration where I might just have to start a new chat. Because I'm already in a stack diff, I can kind of continue the conversation. It should already have a lot of stuff that's kind of going on there. So we got to take a look really quickly at the composer model. And from Cursor, this is called the composer one. It's just brand new. It's supposed to kind of beat out a lot of these like, you know, Haiku, Gemini Flash, GLM like models, but not be as good as like a Sonnet type of thing. And it's really, really fast. You can use a lot of tokens with it. So I use it currently in plan mode in Cursor, and we use the new agent window. So if you hit Command E, you can get to this new window, but there's also these new tabs at the top that let you switch between the two different modes, between the editor mode and the agents mode. And so the editor mode is what you're normally used to seeing when you open up Cursor, but the agent window is this new workflow that you can do. So there's a couple different things when you're in this agent view. When you start a conversation, there's this review tab. And so if you click the review button, this will take you to the review. And this is where you can actually review all of the different code and things that you've been kind of playing around with for, the exact agent session, which makes it really nice. You can also hit, start an agent review as well as locally. I'm going to get into that in the next live stream, but I just wanted to kind of get you guys started in terms of like some of the most important features. I will have timestamps at the end of this video. Big shout out to everyone who's been tuning in, and thank you so much for the super chats. I got to go record the Rate Limited podcast because we're recording at exactly 8:30, which is right now. And I will see you guys on the next live stream, probably later tonight or tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned in and subscribe. So I'll catch you soon. Peace out, y'all.